Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci, and remember, you can find us and subscribe to us wherever you find all of your other favorite podcasts. And remember to leave us a 5-star review, as well as please remember to subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel to view other great content on there, in addition to JT and the Don. Thank you to Mike Regina for the JT and the Don pump up music, and to Nicole Thompson for the wonderful introduction. As always, it's a Super Bowl recap show. So without further delay, let me welcome in everyone's favorite, JT, Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
Hey, man, everything's good. I'm glad they finally were able to drag you on air. You know, you're the busiest man in the world. So I know you said we don't have that much time, so you want to just jump right into it. I won't spend that much time making fun of you or anything like that. We'll just go straight to the questions.
We did a show like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It wasn't that long.
Yeah, that's for you. Like, you think that's, enough time. But we need to be more frequent.
To the listeners out there that are watching live on YouTube, Give Us a Shot Network, apologies for the delay. You can blame JT.
Nah, don't blame me. Blame you. Get into it. Let's go. Because I want to hear your BS about this Super Bowl.
He's not very tech savvy. He struggled getting into the virtual studio. I don't know what's going down there in the Orlando studio.
But anyway,
let's get into a Super Bowl recap. And he says I'm the old one on the show. As we know by now, the Seattle Seahawks won Super Bowl 60 over the Patriots in dominating fashion by a score of 29-13. While not the most entertaining Super Bowl we've seen, there are some interesting questions, JT, coming out of this Super Bowl as a result of what we saw. So the first question is, speaking directly about the game and what we saw, is it more likely the Patriots were this bad or are this bad? Or are the Seahawks just this good?
All right, I'm going to answer this question, and I don't want it to seem like, I'm just a Patriots hater, which I am because I'm a Dolphins fan. But I'm just being honest here. The Patriots are this bad. Props to the Seahawks. They did an amazing job. They won. Sam Darnold got his ring. But let's just be real. Patriots are that bad. This has to be one of the worst offensive rosters from a talent standpoint in the league. I mean, their O-line is mid. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, how bad they were in this game. The wide receivers are terrible. The running backs are, just regular guys at best, at this point in their careers. Like, the only, standout thing about that team on offense is the quarterback. And the Seahawks have a top defense. They got a great quarterback. Their wide receiver one was the offensive player of the year. We're going to talk about it more, but they had an elite defense. So just from like a talent standpoint, it's just, I think that's what it was. Like, the Patriots were just that bad more than the Seahawks were that good.
Well, how can you say it was the Patriots when you just talked about, you think the Seattle defense is historically good? They have all these studs. They have all these guys.
Oh, I was saying. I just think the Patriots are worse than the Seahawks are good. Does that make sense? And that's not taking away from the Seahawks. Like, they had an elite season, but the Patriots are really this bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to agree with you, but I'm gonna bring up some other factors. I agree with you, but I think they were just this bad on offense, because I think New England's.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This is strictly about their offense.
So I'm looking at their offense, but even as a team, they had the lowest opponent win percentage in terms of their schedule at 0.391. So basically, at a clip of 39.1% is what the win record was, or the record percentage was of their opponents. 113 and 176. That was their opponent's total combined record that they faced all year. Historically, it is one of the easiest schedules ever. Like historically, that goes.
I think it's the easiest since 2007. I saw that somewhere like weeks ago, and I'm like, damn.
And that's just 20. That's just 20 years. Historically, it's even one of the easiest. You going back throughout the course of the NFL. So right there, it tells you they didn't face the quality of opponents that they saw in Seattle, and that definitely helped them win the division and win in the playoffs, because then they faced Denver without a backup in the snow, and they barely won. And listen, they have a young QB in an offensive line who they'll grow, they'll get better. But JT, they were not ready for prime time. They were not ready for this great Seattle defense. And it really was to me, it's like there's a great defense, but I still question, is it really a historic all-time defense? So that's why I put it on the Patriots offense, because we saw the Rams had success in the regular season, postseason. The Rams scored 21 in the first game, 37 in the second game, another 27 in the NFC Championship. So this is not a lights-out 2000 Ravens defense. It is not a lights-out 85 Chicago Bears or a 76 Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Like, we saw what good offense looks like against this defense with the Rams, and we didn't see that with New England. So I put a lot more on New England. 2 rookies on the left side of the offensive line. That didn't help. They only scored 54 points in the 3 previous playoff games leading into the Super Bowl. JT, do the math real quick. That's less than 20 points a game. Like, they were winning on their defense. Their defense won all 3 games. This game if Seattle was that good, they would have been up 21-0 easily at the half. Instead, it's only 9-0. And listen, I'm going to go with the Patriots offense is this bad.
I mean, you not giving the Seahawks the overall credit was not on my bingo card, but here we are. Before you say anything else, because I feel like you might have already answered this question, but I want you to explain it anyway. So are we saying that this Seahawks defense this year is not on the level of Legion of Boom?
This year? Oh, it absolutely is. No, it is. And you just look at the comparison. I mean, this rivals the Legion of Boom. The Legion of Boom in that 2013 season, I believe, where they won the Super Bowl against Denver, points per game, 14.3. This defense, we'll call it the dark side because that's how they like to call themselves. So this Seattle defense, number 1 scoring defense in the league at 16.9. That's only about a 2.5-point difference compared to Legion of Boom. Legion of Boom yards per game, 284.3. This one, 295.3. And we've advanced 13 years later where it's become even more of a passing league than it was in 2013. So even more kudos to this specific Seattle defense, only giving up 11 more yards. And then you look points per drive, 1.16 for Legion of Boom. For this dark side defense, 1.45. And then yards per play. This is what I really love to see. 4.6 given up by Legion of Boom. This defense, 4.7. This specific dark side defense ranked top 10 in pressure rate this year while blitzing at one of the lowest rates overall, like in the bottom 10. So that goes to show you they can get pressure with their 4-man front, and they gave up the fewest rushing yards this year per rush, 3.7. So with all of that said, they went over a month at the end of the year without allowing a 20-plus yard play from week 17 through the divisional round. They were the first team to do that in 3 straight games in nearly half a century. So right there, while I wouldn't say they're historic, they are definitely on the level of the Legion of Boom. They may not have the household names, but you look at the stats in some of the offenses they had to play, they backed it up.
Man, this guy pulling out stats. This is why they pay you the big bucks. Finally, you're doing your job, bringing something to this show. And, I mean, can we give Mike McDonald his props? Like, he officially a madman. Like, boogeyman status. Like, it's him and Brian Flores. Like, they keep offensive coordinators and quarterbacks up at night before they play the game. But I will say this. I took this question as, if we're doing, like, best year against best year, maybe you can make a argument like you did with the stats. But we're talking about one season compared to, like, 7 years of dominance for Legion of Boom. Like, we forget, like, they were terrorizing people for a long time. There was one point, I think it was, 4 straight years, they were the top scoring defense in the league, like 4 consecutive years. Not to mention there's 3 Hall of Famers on that defense. So you taught me this, and I'm buying into this philosophy now, which is why I can't put them on the level of LOB yet. You always say the window nowadays for elite defenses are so short. I think you gave it like 2 years max. So knowing that this defense might not even be this dominant next year for all the reasons you usually say, free agency, salary cap, guys get hurt. It's a passing league now. So the odds they put up these numbers again next year are it's the odds of that happening are low. If they do, then we could talk about, all right, they're in that Legion of Boom category. Maybe they're creeping into the category of some of those other all-time great defenses you named. But I'm just going off of what I've seen from Legion of Boom, the intimidation factor, the numbers, the defensive scoring. I just can't put this Seattle Hawks defense on the level of that one. But, I mean, it's a hell of a start. I mean, they got a guy that could get them there. If he can keep this going and keep the core together, in Mike McDonald, like if he can do this over the next 3 years, then he could be better. But right now, I can't put him on that level.
Well, if you're looking at longevity, of course, we haven't seen enough yet, and that's unfair to this current Seattle defense. But if we're looking at a micro level, specific season,
super micro level, we talking about one season.
But think about this, JT. Even if they don't win another Super Bowl, even if they become in one of the next 2 years, they're still number one scoring defense. They've already matched the number of Super Bowls that Legion of Boom defense won. Whether you want to blame them or not for
that's not on them though. That's not on them.
What?
Let's keep it real.
JT, and we don't want to get into it, but is it really not their fault? Yes, we can blame the whole interception.
They playing against two of the greatest football icons of all time.
But
Belichick and Brady. I mean, come on.
JT, if you're that elite,
they play. This defense played a rookie, not a rookie quarterback, second-year quarterback. Bad roster. You said they played the worst schedule since Dixon. Like, it's not the same set of circumstances.
JT, it doesn't matter. If you want to be considered like this great defense of all time, you got to stop New England a little bit more. The Rams defense did it in 2017. Why couldn't you do it in 2014? Randy Moss wasn't on that team anymore. The Giants held that great offense to like 17 points. You gave up 23 or 24. I'm just saying if we're talking all-time great. So we won't get into it, but I think this specific defense on this specific year, definitely on that level. All right, so let's look at the Patriots side. If you're a New England Patriots fan, how do you explain to them what went wrong?
All right, I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna be honest. And you know how much I've been beating the drum and I've been a supporter and screaming to anybody who will listen. Drake Maye is the guy. Drake Maye is the guy. I still believe he's going to be an elite quarterback. I do believe he'll be a Super Bowl champion. He should already have been an MVP, which we'll talk about later. But let's keep it real. This is probably one of the worst games statistically that a quarterback has played in the Super Bowl. Like, it's up there. And I feel like, I know all quarterbacks go through this. You get to them early, you hit them, it messes up their game. We see it from the GOATs. Mahomes has had a Super Bowl where they hit him early, he had a bad game. That Bucs Super Bowl. Brady's had Super Bowls where they hit him early and he doesn't play the best. So I know that comes with the territory, but he still played bad. He looked scared. He looked rattled, and he just didn't look like the guy I'm accustomed to seeing, the guy that I've been bragging about to anybody that will listen. So he's the quarterback. You get the credit when they win. You get the blame when they lose. So I'm going to start with him. But it goes to the bigger issue that we've been talking about. It's the lack of talent on his offense. The O-line was bad. Will Campbell, like 14 pressures in this game. That's got to be a Super Bowl record. 14 pressures is insane. I mean, every time I either looked up or I went to go get something from the kitchen, is when they gave up another pressure. Like, they was in Drake Maye's face, and Will Campbell just standing there with his hands up looking like, all right, like, what happened? It's that. O-line was bad with protection, and he just didn't have time to get into a rhythm and do anything. And then when he did, he made some good throws, but the game was already out of hand by the time Drake Maye got into a rhythm. And the other thing that I feel like is not being talked about enough, I don't know which player said this, but it was a Seahawks player when they were interviewing them, asking them, hey, like, what was the key to the game with you guys being so dominant against their O-line? He was like, yeah, like, our staff found some things with their guards and their tackles that were very telling that we were able to exploit. And obviously that worked. So what that tells me is Mike Vrabel was what went wrong for the Patriots. They were just not as prepared as Mike McDonald and his staff for the Seahawks. Like, Vrabel was supposed to be this, this elite coach, rah-rah guy. Like, he does things the right way. This was everything that's wrong with when you have that type of coach. Like, it's great to be a leader of men, whatever that means. But at the end of the day, you're going to run into a real tactician like a Mike McDonald, and you better be ready to go. And Mike Vrabel did not have this team ready to go on offense. And I feel like he got out coached. That also was a big, big factor to the Patriots breaking down this game. So Drake Maye not being ready, Mike Vrabel not being ready, and that Patriots O-line being disastrous.
So you went to the fridge or the kitchen like 14 times because you said every time you'd go, they'd have another pressure. Man, you went a lot.
Hey, I thought you'd be proud of me going to get that much food.
I am, instead of a cheap meal.
No. Anytime I would turn my head to talk to somebody, boom, like Drake Maye's on his ass again, and Campbell's sitting there with his hands up. I'm like, damn. I'm like, is this a replay? Nah, he's just doing it again.
Hey, no, I'm proud of you, man. Eat all you can. Eat all you can. Listen, I don't necessarily know if it's on Mike Vrabel. He doesn't call the plays, does he? He doesn't come up with the game plan offensively. Defensively, they were playing really well. I mean, you go back and look at their defense. They held Seattle, meaning Seattle's offense, at 32.4% offensive success rate. And that's per ESPN's Ben Solak. That was the lowest mark in any game this season by a defense against Seattle's offense. So the defense did its job. That's what do we always say, JT, as a head coach? Take care of your side of the ball. Vrabel took care of his side of the ball. It was the genius Josh McDaniel, which we've heard this before of him, who couldn't come through without Tom Brady.
Who we've never bought, by the way. We never bought McDaniel as this genius.
Without Tom Brady, he looked kind of good. But again, let's go back to the record. They .391 win percentage was their opponents. And again, they only scored 54 points in 3 playoff games leading up to this. So if you want to blame a coach, which I don't necessarily blame a coach per se, but if anybody, maybe McDaniel's here, because he also has to realize, what is our weakness? Our weakness is we have 2 starting offensive linemen on the left side of the line. Like you mentioned, Will Campbell, but don't forget, left guard Jared Wilson's also a rookie. So it all starts.
Like, how do we make things easier for those guys in the biggest game of their lives?
Which also is going to have to make Drake Maye's job easier too, if we can help that. So it all starts with that offensive line, the young quarterback, and then, like you've been saying, and we've been saying it all year, no playmaking. So you can't protect the quarterback in no explosive plays. That's a bad combination when you're playing in the Super Bowl. This was a historically bad offense in the playoffs. In addition to some of the other things I mentioned, JT, 21 sacks, and they only 1.13 points per drive. I mean, that's terrible. Those 2 stats there. Listen, the Seahawks are pretty good, right? They're pretty dang good, and they made plays, but the offense did not help the Patriots. All of the things we've mentioned, can't protect the quarterback, no explosive plays, all of that just didn't help. So, I mean, that's simply what went wrong with the Patriots. They never really could adjust. Run a draw, run a screen, run a quick screen, like get something moving.
A bootleg, something.
When your offensive line cannot stop their front 4. They're still going into a 5-step, 7-step drop, and guys are running 15 yards downfield. That's not going to work. Yeah,
I agree. I feel like they had no counter for their aggressiveness. Like, it just seemed like they were just doing the same thing, running into a brick wall. Same result.
Yep.
All right. Let's get to the reason why everybody watched this game, because it wasn't for the actual game. It was for the halftime show. Bad Bunny showed out. But I want your grade and your thoughts on Bad Bunny's halftime performance.
Man, we should have brought in a music or an entertainment expert. Like,
we couldn't afford one, so we'll have to settle for you.
You couldn't call up, like, especially in this one, you couldn't bring in Cardi B, maybe like Meg Thee Stallion. Maybe you could have brought in Dr. Dre, maybe even Bad Bunny himself. You don't have his direct number?
No, not anymore, man. We're not on speaking terms.
I'm surprised. What'd you do?
Hey, that's not for the air to know.
All right. Listen, I don't know much about music or what is or isn't a good performance. I like to to be able to think I actually know sports, even though some people like you say I don't. Listen, I liked it. All right. Was it the greatest of all time? No. So I don't know what grade to give it. I'll leave that for you or the experts on it. Like, it was fine. It was good. Again, was it the greatest of all time? No, but I got into it. And listen, I thought it was genius of the NFL to have him as the halftime show because it was good for the game. Like, it is good for the game as the NFL is trying to be more international, more global. Listen, on the biggest stage, they possibly brought in one of the most popular musicians. If you look, he was named 4 times Spotify's global top artist. So right there, like, the NFL doesn't do these things. They don't just draw names out of it.
Yeah, it's not pulling these acts out of their ass just to have fun. Like, this is like legit strategy. Jay-Z is probably one of the best musical minds of all time from a business standpoint and talent. Like, he knows what he's doing when he's booking acts. Like, he knows what's going to sell. He knows what's going to be an elite performance. Like, these guys know what they're doing when they put these shows together.
Yeah, and the NFL is purposeful of who they bring on and you know, and the timing of it too. So listen, I liked it. It was, you know, it had good energy to it. And it had some different artists in there too, right? We saw Lady Gaga. I think we saw, you know, you had some other celebrities. We
saw Ricky Martin, and everybody couldn't believe it was Ricky Martin. And you see, I like the cameos too. Like, you're like, oh, there's Jessica Alba, there's Pedro Pascal. Like, I think Ronald Acuna was somewhere in there. Like, I just kept seeing like random, you know, cameos of people. I thought that made it cool. And then you had the wedding, like, people actually get married during the ceremony, which I thought was dope.
Yeah. So it was different things like that brought that extra level of those vibes that were good.
Yeah, I would say I give it an A-. Like, if everything you said, the main thing was the energy. Like, from the time he kicked off, I felt like the energy was on go. Like, it kept you engaged. I love the set pieces. Like, they were amazing. The people dressed up as the grass, like, you didn't know they were actual people. Like, all the dancing, the vibes, even the people might have caught it, but I felt like the low-key pettiness of this performance, like, in the face of everybody that was complaining about the Super Bowl, he was petty, but like artistically petty, and I caught those little things and I loved it all. Like, he was just trolling the haters. So I gave it an A-. The only reason that I did not give it a higher grade, and this is just me being biased, is he didn't play the one song I wanted him to play. Bad Bunny, you had one job, man. One job to get an A+ from me. You had to play the song that was the intro song to my wedding. He didn't play Mia. That to me, that's his best song. That's my favorite song that Bad Bunny has. I still listen to it, and I'm like, damn, you could have thrown that in there. I was waiting for it. I was like, he got to play it, and he did not. So by the fact that he didn't play that song, I had to give him an A-. I couldn't give him anything higher. But other than that, phenomenal show. I loved it.
All right, understandable. Anything else on that?
Oh, on my wedding or the performance?
Both. Either.
No, we can go into all the Easter eggs in another show, but I liked it because I like his latest album. They just won all the Grammys for, so I was pleased with everything, man. It was a great show.
All right. I wish they could have. At first, I kind of wish they had more of a.
Oh, now he got more thoughts, Mister. I don't know music. Go ahead, tell us more gripes.
No, I'm just saying, I wish they had more of an aerial show of it or aerial views of it at times because I wanted to get the full effect. But I understand what they were doing. They wanted you to be like in the weeds with it, like really, really
pun intended.
In the performance.
You know what I'm really shocked about? There was one part where I saw, I was like, oh, this is dope. And I thought you would appreciate this, where he was walking through and the camera was following him and they panned to him ducking over under the two boxers. I thought you would have been like, oh, that was the dopest thing. Like, that looked like it was like straight out of Creed. Like, that was a Ryan Coogler ever shot. Like, it was like tilted to the side. He's ducking under it. I thought you would have, appreciated that, but you didn't even bring that up.
What I appreciated was early on, he had the football, right? And I saw somewhere on the internet, so I don't know who to give credit to, but they said he walked more yards with the football than New England ran
all
night on the ground.
I could
So
believe
it
it.
was
And the streaker was probably the fastest person on the field. Like they couldn't catch him. It took a Patriots player to come knock him down. So yeah, I thought you would at least appreciate the boxing part of it. But I digress.
I did. All right, so let's go to everyone's favorite segment. Forget about it, Fugazi. The way it works, I'll explain it since JT never gets it right, and I didn't write it down for him. So basically, I will read you a statement. If you agree with it, if you think it's a good take, you say forget about it. If you disagree, you think it's a bad take, a garbage take, you say Fugazi. All right, JT, first one. This was the most boring Super Bowl of our lifetime.
Fugazi. We ain't forget about Super Bowl 53 in 2019 when the Pats played the Rams. That was by far one of the most boring games I ever seen. People forget. It was 3-3 going into the fourth quarter, and I think they had something like 13 or 14 combined punts in that game. That game was so boring that it basically cost Jared Goff his job with the Rams. Like, if we being real, like that was it. That was how boring that game was. That one easily I could forget about forever.
I love to argue you, and I know we always try.
Come on over. You know that's the most boring Super Bowl because I feel like did we not watch that Super Bowl together like in person?
No, we did not. I can't argue that one. You're right. Super Bowl 53. It was 3-3 going into the fourth quarter. The final was 13-3. 14 combined punts. That's all you need.
It was 14. All right. I knew it was something crazy.
That's all you need to say. All right, next one. Drake Maye is not a top QB, and the MVP voters were correct.
All right, this is Fugazi, and I'm being all the way 100% honest. He has similar stats and a better record with way less talent compared to Matthew Stafford. So we're talking about the guy that had less talent and similar stats led his team to the 2 seed. I know you're going to argue the schedule versus the Rams having the 5 seed. And I know everyone wants to point to the schedule, but let's not forget before they got to this game against the Seahawks, he beat the 2 best defenses in the AFC, beat the Broncos, and he beat the Texans defense. DeMeco Ryans, who you said is like the 3rd genius amongst the 3 guys in the league. He beat those guys, and then he just ran into a buzzsaw with the Seahawks. Like, imagine if he would have beat the Seahawks defense. Like, we're talking about this Super Bowl run is probably one of the best ever. Like, just by the defenses he would have had to gone through. So, I can't say I agree with that. Stafford could have won it, but the only reason he won it because I heard that some idiot voted for Justin Herbert. Like, he got an MVP vote. Like, really? It was a 2-man race. So I would say Fugazi just because, like, he might have had a bad game, but we're just not going to disrespect and discredit Drake Maye's entire season because of this one game.
I'm going to say forget about it. Drake Maye right now, like, he's not a top elite QB just yet. So if we're talking right now, like, not yet. But again, that doesn't mean so in the future, right? I think he has a bright future. He was definitely a deer in headlights. So that's the other thing where he just can't be elite just yet. And even before the game, I thought Stafford was the clear MVP. And I understand it's a regular season, but if we're taking into everything, because that's what the question is on this show, like, we're looking back, were they correct? I think based off the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, I think it's pretty clear because yes, the schedule favored New England, but when you look at Stafford in LA, JT, they had to play this defense twice, let alone actually another time in the playoffs. But in the it's a division rival. So I get what you're saying. Like, you still got to play them, but I feel like when it comes to division rivals, it's a wild card. And let's use your logic. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but like, you got like guys that are considered top quarterbacks and have won MVPs, haven't been deer in headlights in the playoffs at all. Like, that's the same thing they say about Lamar Jackson. They say it about Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked like deer in headlights against the same defense that Drake Maye beat the week later. So let's not act like top quarterbacks that have won MVPs or have been MVP caliber quarterbacks have not been deer in the headlights in playoff games. I agree, but he did that twice, JT. Like, he did that twice against Denver and against Seattle.
The game he won, he was deer in headlights. And probably the worst weather game we've seen in probably the past couple of years.
JT, what did he do in the first half when the weather was perfect? The defense set him up at the 25. I mean, listen, we know Drake Maye's your guy, But let me ask you this. Game on the line. You need one game this year. You've got to pick between Stafford and May. Forget about who the weapons are. If you're not going Stafford, then you're just disrespecting Matthew Stafford. What that guy has accomplished, and I understand the MVP is not a career award, but you look at what
it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
It shouldn't be, but sometimes it is. But you look at what he did this year. He had to play the Niners defense twice, the Rams defense twice.
The Niners defense, they weren't that great. They were banged up all year.
He had some other. Hey, still had Robert.
No,
Saleh.
they had no Fred Warner. They had no Bosa.
Doesn't matter. Still had Robert Saleh. We talked about it. He may be the fourth great defensive coordinator in this league. Like so.
I'm not saying Matthew Stafford shouldn't have won. I'm just saying we're not just about to throw Drake Maye's whole body of work out the window because of this one game.
But that's why I prefaced it. I thought they were right, meaning the voters were right even before this game. All right. So talking about some other voters now, JT. Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer has ruined the credibility of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, forget about it. It's an absolute joke. How can a coach that's first all time in Super Bowls, playoff wins, and second all time and just wins, period, not be a first ballot Hall of Famer? To me, now no coach can ever be like a third ballot Hall of Famer at this point. Like, you got to wait 3 times to be on the ballot to even be considered. Now, if Bill Belichick can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I mean this with all due respect, and I'm not even trying to shade people when I say this. I love Luke Kuechly. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Do I think they are Hall of Fame players? Absolutely. Are they first ballot? Because I'm like, I don't know. You got no. Are they first ballot by this new standard that has been set? Because to me, if Bill Belichick can't get in, to me, what that tells me is I have to say there is a possibility that you are a top 10 consensus player all time at your position when you go in to be considered a first ballot Hall of Famer now. Because if Bill Belichick can't do it, then what's the criteria? Because we got somebody like Calvin Johnson, who we've argued on this show. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't even think he's top 15 in most receiving stats. Like, I just don't understand that. And then here's the bigger thing that's going to happen. The NFL will be too coward enough to do it because they will have already tried to put out the fire and fix it by the time this happens. If Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, then how can Tom Brady be? Because everything that they've done success-wise is linked outside of that one Super Bowl that Brady won when he left. But most of Brady's lore and what people are going to consider him the GOAT and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer is linked to the same set of success that we're using to say Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I just don't understand like how this even happens. I don't understand how they fix it going forward because the only thing you can do is come out and admit that, hey, they screwed up. This was wrong. He should have been the first ballot Hall of Famer. And we just fire anybody that didn't work for him vote for him for having to vote. So I do think it is ridiculous. And I do think that it has ruined the credibility of the Hall of Fame because this was easy. Like, this looks so stupid.
Didn't you always tell me these are supposed to be quick?
Hey, look, man. Look, you want me to give you my raw, honest opinion, or you want me to just bullshit through this?
Listen. Personally, I think you're wrong. It's fugazi because the process has already ruined the credit thing because of the way they set it up. So you're comparing apples to oranges here. You're trying to say that, well, Fitzgerald, shouldn't. Whether you believe he should or should not get in, like guys have to be unbelievably first to be first ballot. That's not true because Fitzgerald he's not on the same ballot as Belichick and Kraft because he's a modern day player, whereas coaches, contributors, and the basically lack of a better word, the older players are on their separate ballot. So Fitzgerald, Tom Brady, all those guys, it doesn't matter. If they're first ballot, they should get in first ballot because they're not conflicting votes with the coaches, contributors, in the older players like we saw with Roger Craig getting in, Elsie Greenwood still on that, and a couple other guys. So the process, the credibility's already been kind of messed up from the jump because a lot of people feel coaches and contributors should not be in that same bucket. So because the voters...
For the most part, maybe, but I mean, there's special exceptions. Like this is the special exception. Like we're never going to have this conversation probably for like 60 years or if ever again. Like is this coach worthy of a first ballot Hall of Famer? Like this may be like 2 all time that we have this conversation about.
What? Right.
Maybe 3.
But the way the voting is, they can only pick 3 of the 5 finalists. And they felt that maybe some of the other guys like Roger Craig and maybe Kraft ate into some of Belichick's votes and vice versa. Because to me, the Hall of Fame ruined their credibility when Terrell Owens, who I know a lot of people will argue this, he's basically statistically a top 3, 4, 5 receiver all time and was not a first ballot. I mean, yeah, if you want to punish him a little bit for not being a great teammate, listen, that's fine. But overall, he still should have been first ballot. So to me, that was ruined. These guys will eventually get in. I think it's the process that really the credibility is ruined. But I'll say this, JT, isn't there something to say? Because we see it with Barry Bonds. We see it with Roger Clemens. We saw it with Pete Rose not get in. Maybe Kraft is different, even though he has a lot of people feel more. There's
legal issues there. There's legal issues there.
Morally, there's some things that they feel he did wrong off the field. With Belichick, hey, not once but twice, Spygate and then Deflategate.
But it's this. But here's the thing: are we going to have these same conversations when Tom Brady is up for first ballot? Because he should be. Tom Brady. If we're Bill Belichick, I'm kind of in a way glad this happened because Tom Brady is going to end up in conversations when it's time for him to go into the Hall of Fame. He will be the Barry Bonds of the NFL. Do we let him in despite having all these checkered things in his past that there's evidence? Because as much as we want to bash Bill Belichick for all the stuff he did wrong, we forget it. Brady still got suspended. Brady was doing shady shit, deleting stuff off his phones. Brady was deflating his footballs. Like we act like he's like blameless in this.
Let me answer your question. It always pays to be nice, JT. Belichick was always miserable to the media. Tom Brady made time from what we saw. He always made time for the media, still does. There's your answer.
Lawrence Taylor was literally snorting crack and picking up prostitutes. They had no problem letting his ass in. And he should be in there.
He was nice to the media. All right, last one.
That's all you got to do is smile.
Sam Darnold can officially shed the bust label for life.
Oh, this is forget about it. Just because he's completed the arc of his story, like some people call him like the worst first round pick at quarterback probably in our lifetime to now winning a Super Bowl. He's the first quarterback in that class to win a Super Bowl too. Like, isn't Josh Allen in that class? Like that's the Baker Mayfield class, and I think was it Rosen is also in that class.
Yeah, it was just who was the other one? No, not Justin Fields. Yeah, Justin Fields. Who was the other one in that?
No, not Justin Fields, but I think Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, and Rosen are in that class. But it's like first quarterback from that group to win a championship, and just like the last 2 years, what he's put on paper, like you almost forget about how bad he was with the Jets. Like they literally were trolling this man with like the Ghostbusters song during the game. Like that's how bad he was, and like we'll forget about all that because he's a Super Bowl champion and what he did with the Vikings. Like I feel like the redemption arc is complete, and anything that happens from here on out, he just can't get the bust label. He's got the ring and he's got the stats now, so I think it's done. Like he should never get that word thrown into his name again, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's forget about it. Listen, when you are a reason, not the reason, but a big part of the reason for a Super Bowl win, listen, then you can no longer be a bust. Like you played for the Jets. There's a lot of forgiveness there. Now that people look back at it, they've seen how bad they've ruined other quarterbacks. They've seen the disaster that organization is. Like a lot of people look at that as that didn't even happen now.
Yeah, it's like they don't even talk about it anymore. If anything, the only thing they do is talk about Adam Gates. Like, hold on, you know that he has come full circle and this bust thing is gone. Is now I'm starting to see all the former Jets players that were on that team with him now come out and be like, yeah, we always knew Sam was like this. We always knew he was good. And it's like, oh, okay. Now that he's the man and he's proven that he's good. Now you guys are standing up for him in the public. So yeah, that just shows you how far he's come.
Yeah, when you've had 2 great seasons in a row the way he's had in a Super Bowl, it's hard to say he's a bust now. No, he could fall off now and be like, you know what? He did what most first-round quarterbacks can't do. Put together consecutive great seasons and win a Super Bowl and be a big reason why they won. Hey, man, I think he's shed that for life.
I want to ask you one more question, and this just came to me, and this is perfect segue with this conversation. With the way Sam Darnold's career has gone, like we just talked about him going from bust to just complete redemption. Do you think this will give NFL teams pause from moving on from young quarterbacks too fast? Because I feel like now, even more so than when Darnold came into the league, I feel like now they're just more cutthroat. Like if you don't play good, they're talking about getting rid of you by like the following season, by like Thanksgiving or Christmas. Do you think seeing what Sam Darnold has done, will that give NFL teams pause when it comes to moving on from guys too soon?
No, I don't think so, because the NFL still stands for not for long. If the GM and coach are on the hot seat, you know, one way to buy more time, hey, they go to the owner, hey, we got to move this quarterback. He didn't pan out. The scouts missed on this. We've got this other guy coming in, kind of like they did with Josh Rosen. Hey, we can go Kyler Murray. They know that resets the clock, so they can go to the owner and say, hey, you got to give us 3 or 4 years with this young guy. So I don't think it gives them any pause. I think what it should do is it should tell the ownership groups to say, hey, we've got to bring in a quarterback, but also we've got to have the right, and you've always said it, I want to know the situation a quarterback's getting drafted into. So sometimes it's up to the ownership to first build that foundation, to build that supporting cast, whether it's through coaches or a defense or players, offensive line, and then get your quarterback, whether it's, hey, let's go get a Darnold who didn't pan out somewhere else, or, hey, we're going to draft someone, have them sit for a year like they did with Patrick Mahomes and some of these other guys before you actually let them go. Because once they're in the building, if it's a disaster, JT, it's hard to come back from that. It's hard for coaches to see you differently. For example, like Tua, a new coaching staff's coming in. That's tough for Tua to shake that, where they're probably going to have to turn around and at some point either bring someone in, whether it's Malik Willis, or draft someone. But if the structure and foundation isn't there, the quarterback's not going to succeed, and they're always going to move on. I don't think the Darnold effect or the Mac Jones effect, as we've seen,
or even the Baker Mayfield effect,
or the Baker Mayfield. That's even another great example. I don't think that's going to make teams hesitate, because when their jobs are on the line or they're not winning games, it's hard to go and say, give us 3 years at 3-14 and 4-13. Now, you saw what New England did with Drake Maye and Vrabel under his first year compared to last year. It's all about the coaching, the structure. And to me, that always starts at the top. You see year in, year out, the best run organizations are there, whether it's Green Bay, whether it is New England, whether it's Pittsburgh, whether it's Seattle. It's always top down. And you see some of the organizations that don't have that success. Yes, Cincinnati may hit every once in a while. They catch some lightning with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Higgins, but look at that defense now, right? So it's like, yes, you'll have organizations like that, but it's all about sustainability. And so it's all about the structure in place.
I agree with you to an extent. I do think the big factor, you hit the nail on the head, is coaches don't have that much time. Like, ownership is not patient. Like, unless you're an established guy that they trust, you've had some success, those are the only guys in situations that can survive any kind of rough patch. But also, like, the key point of this thing, the Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield thing is like so rare, because people are missing the big part. The guy has to fail first, miserably. So you have to get a whole office group of coaches fired first before we could even count this as a redemption. And then there has to be a team that is even worse or just as bad as the situation that you just destroyed because you weren't getting it done as a starting quarterback, that will be willing and desperate enough to take you on. Like, the path of this is how rare it is. We talk about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. They both are bad and went to the same exact team. They both went to the Panthers. The Panthers were the only situation that were just as desperate, or maybe as desperate, as the Jets were or as the Browns were. So they had to go to the same spot. So I just don't think there's enough coaches out there that if they are that successful, they have that kind of time to waste on these guys as a starter to do like some sort of reclamation project. I think all the cards just have to align, because like, for every Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, like, they ain't gonna do that for Anthony Richardson. Like, you think somebody from the McVay tree that gets a job is gonna be like, hey, let's bring Anthony Richardson in and let's, like, redo him and build him back up. maybe they'll turn him into the next Justin Herbert, like you said before he got drafted. But I just don't see that happening. Just specifically what you said, like there's just not enough opportunities for coaches to survive that long in the NFL to see that actually go to fruition.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be what happened here. It just goes to whatever team that specific quarterback's not successful at. Another team's gonna have to take them on as a backup, right? We saw that with Baker with the Rams, then a little bit in Carolina. We saw that with Darnold. We've seen that with Mac Jones. Like Darnold going to Minnesota, he was their backup. J.J. McCarthy ends up, I think, tearing his ACL, I believe. So,
yeah, I think it was like meniscus in the preseason, but they were saying he was going to be the day one starter.
Right. So now Darnold comes in. You always need that backup, though. So it might be an Anthony Richardson, but again, it's going to take time for him, too. If he goes to a new spot, he has to fall under a really good offensive mind, offensive coordinator, and that's going to take time.
It depends on the quarterback, because to me, Malik Willis will be a great litmus test for this, because if he goes somewhere and someone is saying, look, I am bringing you in as my franchise quarterback and I'm committed to you
as the day one starter, no competition, no open competition,
and not one of these. I hate putting him under the bus. Not one of these Justin Fields scenarios where it's like, hey, look, man, you the best we can get. We just gonna dress it up real pretty, like you the guy we believe in long term, and then we'll bring you in. But we're disguising this as like a tanking scenario. Like, I'm talking about a team that is really going all for it, has playoff and Super Bowl aspirations. They bring Malik Willis in as their guy, and they believe he's the franchise quarterback. When I see a team invest in a guy like that, then I'll know that this redemption arc thing is like really plausible. Until I start seeing that, it's just hit or miss everywhere. Like, it's all luck.
But we've seen it throughout the course of history. Jim Plunkett's probably the biggest and best example. You've seen a little bit with Kurt Warner, how he didn't really get chances and finally got a chance as the backup. But
I feel that's different. I feel like Kurt Warner's story is more closely related to a Tom Brady rather than like a Sam Darnold. Because you forget the key component to these guys in these scenarios is like they were supposed to be the guy. Like they came into the league with those expectations.
What I'm saying, there's other ones. Like you've got Jim Plunkett, right? You got Tommy Maddox. Remember, he was drafted first round by the Broncos to be the heir apparent to Elway. Didn't work out. Comes to the Steelers, has 2 really good years, and then finally gets hurt, and Big Ben takes over. And you've seen a little bit of it throughout the course of the NFL, like course of NFL history. But it's tough. It depends on the quarterback. I think Malik Willis, I think he has that potential because he's had time now. Tennessee, now Green Bay. This will really be his third team. Like, this is where he needs to blossom. He needs to show all the lessons he learned. He's now ready.
We're gonna see, man.
And good luck to him. I'd love to see him in a Steeler uniform.
I just don't want to see Malik Willis turn into a Josh Johnson where he's on 15 teams in 16 years. I want to see if the NFL is going to invest in some of these highly regarded quarterbacks that fail, like a Anthony Richardson or Malik Willis. Like I just want to see it. When I see that, I'll believe that the process is real.
Hey, I would love a 16-year NFL career playing for 15 different teams. Sign me
up. No. Oh, of course, he's getting his money. But I feel like no one's ever given him a shot to be the guy for a season, even on a bad team that's clearly tanking. Like they've never gone with him.
I think he might get that shot now. Whether it's Miami, whether it's somewhere else, he might get that shot now.
So, all right, we'll see. I hope you're right.
He might be playing in your hometown.
Anything's better than what we got right now.
Thank you to the fans and listeners out there. As always, remember to subscribe to Give Us a Shot Network, as well as JT and the Don All Sports Podcast. We can be found wherever you find all of your other favorite podcasts. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And remember to please follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Don. We can be found on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. So, JT, great episode. A lot of fun recapping, finishing off the football season. We are into the off season, into college hoops, March Madness coming up eventually, NBA with the All-Star game coming up. Still a lot of sports. We got Olympics. We got to talk about the Olympics on the next podcast, JT. So, but until then, until the next episode, JT, See ya.
Peace.